The sun had barely begun to rise over the jagged mountains of Colorado when Caleb Monroe heard the voice for the first time. It wasn't loud or even frightening, just a whisper, so soft it almost blended with the wind. But it said his name, clearly. Caleb froze mid-step. The trail beneath his boots crunched faintly as he shifted his weight. His dog, Rufus, a loyal blue heeler, stiffened at his side and growled toward the pine-covered ridge. "Who's there?" Caleb called out. Silence. Only the rustle of leaves, the cry of a hawk above, and the gentle babble of the river below answered him. Caleb shook his head. Maybe it was just the wind. He'd hiked this trail every summer since he was 13. It was his place. Private, sacred, where he came to think and forget the world. But this time was different. As he rounded the bend near Echo Rock, his foot struck something buried in the dirt. A metallic clang broke the morning calm. He crouched and brushed away pine needles and gravel until his fingers found an iron handle bolted into the rock. It looked like part of a hatch, square, heavy, and utterly out of place. What the hell? Rufus barked sharply and backed away, ears pinned. Curiosity gnawed at him. Caleb grabbed the handle and pulled. It didn't budge. He braced his foot against a root and heaved. With a groan of metal on stone, the hatch opened. A rush of cool air blasted his face. Below, a spiral staircase carved into rock descended into darkness. Caleb stared into the void. Every instinct told him to walk away. He went down. The air grew colder with each step. 50 feet in, the darkness was absolute. Caleb flicked on his headlamp. The beam cut through the black to reveal walls lined with carvings, strange symbols, animal shapes, eyes. So many eyes. He reached a landing. Before him stretched a long stone corridor, ancient and silent. At its end stood a door made of bone-white material that shimmered faintly. As he approached, his headlamp flickered. Then the voice came again. "Welcome back, Caleb." This time it wasn't a whisper. It was deep, echoing, familiar, and impossible. The door creaked open by itself. Inside the room pulsed with a soft blue glow. In the center stood a pedestal, and on it a black orb about the size of a grapefruit. It hummed softly, vibrating with unseen energy. He felt drawn to it, as if it recognized him. He reached out. The moment his fingers touched the orb, everything changed. He wasn't in the room anymore. He wasn't even sure he was in his body. The world around him exploded into fragments of memory, places he'd never been, faces he didn't recognize but felt like he should. A war in the sky, a city made of glass, a woman with silver eyes calling his name, then darkness. He awoke hours later, back on the trail, the orb in his backpack. But nothing around him was the same. The trees were older, the river was gone, the sun was wrong. Too big. Too red. Rufus was missing. And far in the distance, atop a hill where there had never been a hill before, stood a tower that reached into the clouds, black, glistening, alive. Then he heard the voice again, closer now. 17 days, Caleb. 17 days to remember who you are, or the world burns. A low hum filled the air. The orb was glowing. And he ran. He ran not just because he was afraid, but because somewhere deep inside he knew this world wasn't the only one at risk. And somehow, all of it, Rufus, the tower, the voice, the orb, was tied to him. He had been here before, in another life, in another war. But the memories were fractured, like a shattered mirror. As he traveled across the altered wilderness, he encountered others, survivors, scavengers, people who remembered a different past. Some knew his name, some tried to kill him, others spoke in riddles, warning him about the Harbinger and the Rift. The orb revealed more with each passing night, visions of a world underneath this one, of battles fought in dimensions twisted by time, of him, Caleb, standing at the center, wearing armor of light, commanding storms, holding back a force so old even the stars had forgotten its name. But in this life he was just a hiker, a man with no memory of being a warrior. Each day brought him closer to the tower, and each night brought dreams more vivid, more terrifying. He saw the woman again, the one with silver eyes. She was trapped inside the tower, screaming his name, begging him not to forget. 17 days, the voice reminded him, always at sunset. By the 9th day, the sky turned black and stayed that way. Thunder rolled constantly. The stars vanished. People began disappearing into cracks in the ground. Caleb reached a ruined city made of mirrors. There he found his old armor buried in the heart of a cathedral that hummed with alien music. He didn't remember putting it on, but once he did, his bones burned with a power. The orb embedded itself into the chest plate. He was becoming someone else. Or maybe becoming himself. By the 15th day, the tower was within reach. Lightning danced around its tip like serpents. The air buzzed. Caleb stood at the base, hand on the ancient stone door. Behind it, the final truth waited. He turned to Rufus, who now walked like a guardian. "Am I ready?" "You were born ready. You just forgot." And together they entered the tower.